I think I did a big mistake. 1 year ago I claimed that the acquisition of rFactor 2 developer Studio 397 by Motorsport Games was the start of something big. But it looked like it would be. Unreal Engine 4 expertise from KartCraft, one of the best racing engines on the market from rFactor 2, and money from a willing investor which promised us racing fans so much more. Now this idea is falling apart and there's serious evidence that Motorsport Games and in conclusion rFactor 2 might be at the end of the rope, along with certain other sim racing games that were promised to us. But let's start at the beginning and why I thought this was going to be a success story. Back in April 2021, Motorsport Games was on a shopping spree. They acquired Studio 397, the team behind rFactor 2. They bought a lot of shares from 704 Games, who were working on the NASCAR Heat series, and they got their hands on KartCraft, a karting sim which was developed by a super small team in Australia but had the looks of a AAA title thanks to the Unreal Engine. A lot of puzzle pieces coming together, which made me believe that this was the start of something big. And who didn't at that time? Just thinking about the possibilities of having the rFactor 2 physics, Unreal Engine 4 graphics and a license like NASCAR under one roof. If you aren't super deep into software development, this sounds like a dream come true. And it even got better. Motorsport Games also snagged the IndyCar, WEC, as well as the BTCC license for themselves, with the latter supposedly even getting a fully fledged title and esports series in 2022. The editor and me wanted to do something on the topic and wanted to let you guys out there know that something big is forming on the horizon, which is why we made this video back then, hyping up Motorsport Games and giving them at least some credibility. And maybe that was my mistake. The new NASCAR Ignition game that dropped in late 2021 did just what I was so hyped about. They used the Unreal Engine 4, they used the glorious rFactor engine, and they beat the advertising drum to the best of their ability. And what happened next is well known. Since then, their stock market price has crumbled, starting at a strong $35 per share in January 2021 and plummeting in value to under $1 as of today. But this is not a financial report channel. We sim racers don't care if the stock has value or not. So the question is, what has Motorsport Games done for us so far? Is there any good? And why are more and more videos popping up saying that the whole operation might be at the end of the rope? Before we go and investigate the menacing facts, let's take a look on the good things that MSG has done for the sim racing scene in the last couple of months. Let's have a look at our friends over at Traction. We see and love what they do. And Traction.gg is to 100% a Motorsport Games product. But still, they are authentic and make great sim racing content that enriches the scene. Their growth and the love from the community is no coincidence, and they are getting paid to do that good work with Motorsport Games money. Also, rFactor 2 is in a better place than it ever has been. The new UI is slick, new content has already been pushed out, and there are huge plans to further enhance the sim that give us even more reasons to come back to this game. So just standing there and saying the Motorsport Games is a scam might not be the full truth. The money they spent was used to do a lot of good for the community and is what keeps the lights on both examples mentioned. And the same applies to KartCraft, of course. But why do more and more people believe that Motorsport Games will close its doors soon? What's happening behind the scenes? There are many accusations that rely on sources from websites, past financial reports, or background checks that all paint different stories on who exactly did what bad deed in the past. But keep in mind that the trap here is to come to conclusions that can't be 100% proved. Which is why I want to focus on what we know for certain. Because Motorsport Games is obligated to publicly release their investor reports on their homepage, which gives us, of course, a lot of insights on what's actually happening in investor calls and how the financial situation looks within MSG. According to the Motorsport Games Q4 2021 earnings call transcript, the company believes that their existing cash on hand won't be sufficient to fund their operations for the next 12 months. So basically they are stating that without further investment and a restructure to save money in other places, developers like Studio 397 or Cardcraft could be in serious trouble to pay their employees. Which is a surprise, as a lot of investors' money was used on advertising. For example, on the number 78 car in the NASCAR Cup Series, which costs somewhere between 5 to 35 million US dollars per season to have. Of course, we also gave Motorsport Games a chance to comment on the current situation and accusations floating around. But so far we haven't heard from them. If we do, we'll let you know in a pinned comment. But, and this is a really important point, who are we to judge from the outside? All we know is that they failed horribly with NASCAR Ignition and disappointed their shareholders and the community alike. As a result, the stock price is tumbling and they need a sense of achievement ASAP to get back on course. And sure, NASCAR, IndyCar, the BTCC and others aren't happy too. They fear that their games in the making could end up like Ignition, which is why some of those IPs want to get out. So let's finally talk about the video games and what the current status means moving forward. Let's start with the BTCC game that was promised for 2022. In the latest investor presentation, the game was taken out of the future roadmap completely. So a standalone BTCC game will presumably not be released for the time being, but as new BTCC content like Brands Hatch and even some cars from the series will be released for rFactor 2 with their next content drop, it looks like the long-standing franchise will host the British touring cars for now. Which also makes me doubt that the announced IndyCar and 24 Hours of Le Mans games that were scheduled for 2023 will be produced either. At the moment, everything points to rFactor 2 combining all those licenses and evolving into a must-play sim. But if that's really the case, we can't tell for sure. What we know is that rFactor 2 has planned quarterly content drops now, that aim at making the game, once again, one of the most popular titles in the scene. When it comes to NASCAR Ignition, there was a change of heart within Motorsport Games as well. According to the earlier mentioned earnings call, NASCAR 22 should have been released between July and September this year, but now a new roadmap has emerged which revealed quite different plans. NASCAR 22 won't be a standalone game and comes instead as an expansion pack. This expansion will feature the full 2022 roster, the new regular season schedule, updates to the UI and HUD, as well as Fanatec wheel support. Further down the line, 3 DLCs are promised that will drop monthly after the initial release. In the end, there are still a lot of promising projects going on behind the scenes, even though the expectations might be as low as possible. But what is for certain is that if Motorsport Games can't find new investors as they stated, they can't keep the motor running for 2022, and this could be the end for Cardcraft and rFactor 2. So let's hope altogether that this isn't the case, or we might lose some of our favorite gaming franchises forever. What's your opinion on this? Let me know in the comments down below how you feel. But that's it from me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time around. Cheers!